When people are considering moving to the Oklahoma City metro, they often ask questions about the weather. They want to know about tornadoes, of course, about the hail during severe weather. They also ask about how unbearable the heat is during the summer and if it even snows during the winter. Hello, my name is Nathan and this is Oklahoma City Living. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video or any of my other videos, please subscribe to my channel. Now, I'm going to start by giving just a few quick stats about the Oklahoma City Metro, but then really dive deep into what each season kind of looks like, and then most importantly, give some practical tips about uh, the weather and what it's like to live here, and just things to keep in mind. Now, I am a realtor. I've been a realtor here for about 12 years, so I'm kind of looking at the weather through the lens of a realtor as a homeowner, as someone who might be buying a home. So just keep that in mind. Now, I want to start with this. So, about 65% of the time, it is sunny here in Oklahoma City or partly sunny. So, the sun is almost always out, which is great. Um, Here's some other stats. So, the average annual temperature is about 60 degrees. So, the average temperature is pretty moderate. Uh, about 32 to 34 inches of rain per year on average, and about 9 inches of snow per year. Um, Now, the biggest thing about Oklahoma City weather is this. The biggest surprise is that it changes so quickly. It changes so quickly and it's pretty volatile in its extreme. So, in the winter, it can be as cold as 5 to -5 degrees. It can get really cold. And in the summer, it can get really hot up to, 110 degrees. Now, those are pretty high extremes for both, especially the winter. But it can be that way. But it can also just be crazy differences within a week. So an example might be it could be in the winter, maybe 60, 55 degrees on a Monday. Pretty good. You might need a hoodie. And it can be snowing like 2 days later and 30, 35 degrees. And then, 2 days later, it'll be 65 degrees and the snow is melting within a day or so. So, the weather here in Oklahoma just cannot make up its mind. That's the thing to know. And it can even be pretty crazy differences just within a day as well. So, my first tip is, especially in those spring and fall seasons, to wear layers because it can be pretty chilly in the morning and then get to a point where you don't need that hoodie or coat in the afternoon and you're needing to wear just like a t-shirt because it's that warm. So let's go ahead and talk about the summer. So July averages about 94 degrees, so it's pretty warm. The triple digit stretches happens sometimes. I don't think it's been too severe this year, but it can be 100 plus for several days at any given summer for sure. Uh, that's why air conditioning, having your AC unit working properly is so important. So it's super essential to make sure that you're servicing that AC unit outside, that condenser. I actually get a company come out and service it, clean it out just about every year, every other year for sure. Because you really want that AC unit running as effective and efficiently as possible. Uh, it'll be worth it in the long run for sure. People who tend to neglect kind of servicing and taking care of those kinds of things, they really pay for it when their AC unit goes out in the middle of the summer when it's 105 degrees. So that's just something to keep in mind for sure. Now let's talk about the fall. The fall is actually my favorite season for a couple of different reasons. For starters, it's football season, which is great. But there's lower humidity. So in the summer, it'll still rain a little bit. And then it'll be, 98 degrees for 3 days straight after that. And the humidity is just awful. Um, so I like that a lot. I just like being able to be in the weather where, it might be low 70s or high 60s. You can kind of wear a hoodie when it cools down a little bit and still shorts. It's great. But to me, for whatever reason, it feels like the shortest season. Um, I don't know if there's any evidence to back that up, but it feels like you're going from like 100-degree weather and then you get a month of these 70 and 60s, and then before you know it, you're having to get your jacket out, and it's winter, and it's 30, 35 degrees outside a couple of days that week. So um, again, fall is my favorite season for sure. Now, winter, I did talk about it can get pretty extreme, but overall, it is pretty mild. So, I talked about the fact that it really only averages about 9 inches of snow per year. I will say here lately, that has been a little different. It has felt like it snowed quite a bit more over the last couple of years, which is nice. I will take the snow over the ice any day of the week. But historically, uh, we typically have to deal with ice a little bit more than we have to deal with snow. And just in general, the school systems generally don't mess around with snow and ice too much. If there's any layer of ice, schools usually get canceled. If it's super, super cold, they'll cancel school. Uh, they might keep school open if there's just a couple of inches of snow and there wasn't any type of ice, sleet, anything like that. But once it starts getting up to a couple of inches of snow, you know that school is probably going to be canceled. Now, just in general, the winter season doesn't tend to disrupt your life too much. There might be 2 or 3 weeks, maybe total, where there's a day or two where uh, it disrupts your week. Like maybe where you can't get out and go to work or go to the store, that kind of thing. But it really doesn't happen too much. Now, this is where I want to give a couple more tips for sure. So, if you don't have a garage, you definitely will, when you're going to work in the morning, you'll start your car and turn that defrost on. You'll want an ice scraper, so that is something to know if you don't have a garage. If you do own your home, or even if you are renting, it's good to cover those outside faucets, those spigots. You can go to like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or something like that, get those plastic coverings, and just protect those during those winter months for when there is that really extreme cold temperature. So those are just a couple of things to keep in mind. Now let's talk about the spring. So this is the fun season. This is where the temperatures are still really nice. May is typically the wettest season, so it rains the most in May in general. This is where we get the thunderstorms and the severe weather. We get those awesome just pictures of lightning in our sky, and we get a little bit of that to the thunderstorms during the summer as well. But we also, of course, get peak tornado season. So peak tornado season is April, May, and June. Um, and while we're talking about tornadoes, I want to talk and educate a little bit about the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. So, watch very simply just means to be prepared and be aware. Tornado warning, take shelter immediately. So, that means get into the safest part of your house or get into a tornado shelter that you have, or maybe a neighbor's tornado shelter. But a warning means take cover. That's what that means for sure. And in talking about tornado shelters, you may or may not know, but here in the Oklahoma City Metro, having basements in homes is pretty rare. So there are basements in older homes in historical areas closer to downtown, and there might be some sporadic basements throughout the metro, but in general, it's pretty rare to have a basement here in the Oklahoma City area. Um, so, storm shelters are, a pretty common thing to have. There can be a storm shelter where they dig kind of a hole in your backyard. That's more of a rural thing. So if you have acreage, you'll see that quite a bit more. Some people have safe rooms where they make I've seen people make uh, their primary closet the safe room, or a secondary bedroom closet, make that the safe room, and basically you can just close a heavy door. You're surrounded by I don't know, a lot of metal or whatever to keep you safe, and that's a great option. And then the most common though is probably the tornado shelters that they dig in the ground that go in your garage. So they kind of cut a hole, finish it out. They have the cover that you can close, and you can get several people in there. Again, they finish it out, and you can get several people in those. Um, but I will say, so having a tornado shelter is great for safety. It gives a lot of people a sense of peace, and they just feel safe. But tornadoes are way overblown the majority of the time, just in how often they occur and how often they actually affect people here in the Oklahoma City metro. Most tornado shelters are full of spider webs, some leaves, and a bunch of dust, and you have to go clean it out once a year, once every couple of years, because they just really don't get used all that often, which is a good thing, because um, a lot of times, tornadoes will happen, but they aren't really destroying homes and doing that kind of thing too often. Every now and then, it will, tornadoes will, they'll be pretty large and they can disrupt a neighborhood and really do some damage. But again, it's not overly common. Now, the thing that is far more common than tornadoes for sure is the hail that comes with the severe weather. So, in talking about hail, it'll ding up your roofs, it'll ding up your car, the gutters on your house. Um, it can break windows if it's big enough. So, I want to talk about the hail a little bit. One thing to keep in mind, again, if you do have a garage, is to make sure you're pulling in that car. If there's any chance of severe weather, pulling in the car into the garage, getting all the junk out of the way, um, making sure that you can at least protect the car. So that's a tip there. Um, Another tip is just when you're buying a home, make sure you know the age of that roof, the condition, if there's any previous hail damage. Of course, you'll want to do that when you do inspections and buying a home. You'll also want to know about the age of the HVAC with those inspections. But coming back to the roof, uh, you want to know about your insurance coverage, your options. So there are two basic options for you. There's replacement cost and there's actual cash value. So uh, replacement cost is when the insurance pays the cost of the roof to replace it. So whatever it costs, they pay to replace it, minus your deductible. You always have to pay that deductible. Actual cash value is when insurance will pay the current depreciated value of your roof. So the older your roof, the less value of the roof, the less valuable it is. So they'll pay that depreciated value, and you still have to pay that deductible. So um, that's just something to keep in mind. You definitely want to know the difference, and really, my tip to you is to have a good insurance agent and just know your options and what is best for you, especially when it comes to your roof coverings here in Oklahoma. Because again, because of the hail, because of the extreme cold temperatures during the winter, and because more importantly, because of the extreme hot temperatures during the summer. Um, all that mixed together generally makes the average roof here in Oklahoma age quite a bit quicker than some other states. So just keep that in mind. Now, uh, again, just in general, a lot of people are worried about tornadoes, and that's kind of overblown. The main thing about the weather to me here in Oklahoma is that it can't make up its mind. Um, it's just so volatile from day to day, oftentimes, even week to week, and there are just such differences in the winters and in the summers at any given moment. So, uh, at the end of the day, I'm used to the weather. It doesn't really scare me. A lot of people in other areas have earthquakes and they get much more snow and other things, hurricanes, things that scare me much more than tornadoes. And the good thing about tornadoes is that you get a really good warning. Meteorologists around here are great. They educate you, they let you know when they're coming. And in fact, I'm going to give a little bit of just storm culture here in the Oklahoma City metro. The meteorologists are great. Uh, Most people generally have their favorite meteorologist or favorite news channel. There's always the meteorologist who is really entertaining. and it's just very excitable about things while also educating you and keeping you up to date. Then there's the meteorologist that is a little more just straightforward, giving you the evidence and just dialed in and focused. And most people have their favorite, their favorite channel, favorite meteorologist, and the weather here in Oklahoma City and in the Oklahoma City Metro generally brings people together. People are talking about it on their social media, talking about it to their friends and family and that kind of thing. So, yeah, the main thing is just to beware, have the channel, be educated, know what's going on, and in general, you'll be good to go. So, I will end it with that. Again, I just want to say thank you for watching this video. If you like this video or any of my other videos here at my channel at Oklahoma City Living, please subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Have a great day.